presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Florida.
Atlanta, some rain before the ball game, where the Marlins and the Braves finish off what seems like a 2-week series, actually a 4-gamer. And the Marlins captured the first 2, the Braves winners yesterday. This was what greeted the fans about an hour ago. Rain, tarp, squeegees. But guess what? Sun is out, tarp is off, grounds crew ready, and so are we. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. In a 4-game series, when you have a chance to tip it 3-1, it's an awful big swing, and the Marlins have that chance.
Well, they have that opportunity, and also, Rich, they have a guy out there on the mound who's been their most consistent pitcher this year. I think we're all anxious to see how Henderson Alvarez pitches after having to leave his last outing, though, getting hit with that one hopper off the shin.
Yeah, for Alvarez, it was a real scare. Certainly, since Jose Fernandez went down, Alvarez has been the ace, and taking this one off the bat of Joe Panic, Alvarez was able to get the out, but he had to come out of the game.
You know what? Doing what he's done all year, fielding his position, even though that ball struck him right on that chin, he was able to complete the play and get Joe Panic at first base. Life against the Atlanta Braves hasn't been a great one for Henderson Alvarez. He's had his struggles against this Atlanta ball club, and he faces them today. He's 0-2 in his career and an ERA of 6.67. He's never beaten the Braves, and obviously he's never won a game here at Turner Field.
All right, if at the start of the season you were to say life for Aaron Harang against the Marlins, well, this year has been an up and a down and an up year for Harang. He's had 2 nice outings, but then one outing in Miami where the Marlins really bombed him. So which Harang will we see tonight?
Well, when you play a team as many times as the Marlins and Braves match up, you see a guy a lot. So this is his 4th start against the Marlins. You can see a couple of pretty good ones, and then the horrible one in Miami, 4 2/3. The Marlins really attacked him. In his career, the 36-year-old is 5-5 against the Marlins and has a career ERA of 6.25. So over the long career, the long track record, if you will, they've hit him pretty well.
What's at stake here tonight? The Braves are a game back of the Nationals in the East. The Marlins have fallen to 4th, a half game behind the Mets. Coming up, Preston Wilson on the field. has subsided in Atlanta. Turner Field, final of a 4-game series. Marlins with a chance to take 3 of 4 if they can get a win in this one. All series long, and even in Houston, we are blessed to have Preston Wilson down on the field. And Preston, first order of business, how is that field?
You know, the field actually looks pretty good. The rain started coming in right after the Braves hit in batting practice today, and the Marlins didn't get a hit on the field. They had to hit in the cages inside. The rain was coming out of the west pretty heavily. The tarp was covered, but then all of a sudden it broke up in about 40 minutes before it was supposed to. So it looks like we're going to be pretty close, if not dead on, starting on time. Field's in good condition. Guys are ready to go.
What's the clubhouse like down there?
You know, the clubhouse is guys just trying to find something to make their routine somewhat normal. When you don't get to hit on the field, things get kind of thrown out of whack. You got guys hitting in the cage at different times. You got guys maybe doing some tee work after that, before the game. So they're just trying to find something to get themselves on a semi-normal schedule. But the guys look like they're having fun. They're ready to go. They got Henderson Alvarez on the mound, their most competitive guy by far consistently all year, and they like their chances.
And it's a good night to have Preston Wilson down there when a crafty right-hander is on the mound in Aaron Harang. Preston, we'll see you in a little bit.
All right, guys.
All right, Preston Wilson on the field, so is Aaron Harang. And the Braves are ready. The Marlins are ready. We're glad you're with us tonight. From Atlanta, the entertainer, Henderson Alvarez, takes on Atlanta Fish. Braves coming up. By Toyota, let's go places. By AT&T Uverse TV. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 800, pick AT&T, mobilizing your world. By Checkers. Checkers brings big flavor for a small price. Feed your craving for quality for only $1 cha-ching. And by your South Florida Honda dealers and sfhondadealers.com. Turner Field, crowd arriving, probably a little bit late with all the rain around the area. Aaron Harang out on the hill, and the big, tall right-hander takes aim at Miami for Harang at start number 21 on the season. Jam Lexus brings you the Marlins lineup. Christian Yelich, a terrific series in the leadoff spot. Jordani Valdespin is back in the 2 slot. Giancarlo Stanton is cold right now. Case McGee hasn't had a great series either. Garrett Jones had a big game-winning hit the other night in extra innings. Marcell Ozuna's in center. Jared Saltalamacchia has homered in the series. Danny Echeverria swung the bat well the last 2 nights. And the entertainer, Henderson Alvarez, in the 9 spot. And the Marlins are very familiar. It's the 4th start against the Fish for Aaron Harang.
Yeah, the 36-year-old veteran certainly has been around since 13th year in the major leagues. He's been with 7 different ball clubs. Marlins have seen him a lot over the years. He's had 16 career starts against the Marlins, 5-5, and an ERA of 6.25. And as we talked about, he's had 3 starts. This is his 4th start against the Marlins just this year.
Braves defensively a pretty good ball club out there.
Yeah, they've made one change. The outfield has Upton and Jason Hayward in right field. Ramiro Pena is the shortstop, so Andrelton Simmons gets the night off. La Stella at second, Freeman and Johnson at the corners, and Evan Gattis is back there behind the plate.
Pitch Penny brings you the first pitch. Christian Yelich in the box. Aaron Harang ready to go. And away we go. Game 4 of the set. Harang catches the corner. Marty Foster calling balls and strikes. And Harang will pit at the corners. He'll go for the out. He'll go in. Yelich sends one foul into the seats, and Harang working quickly is out in front 0-2. A couple hits in each of the first 3 games of the set. He has scored 4 runs and knocked in 2. He raised his average up over 280. One and 2 to Yelich. Last night the Braves 6-1 winners. That would be strike 3 called inside corner, and it looked like a really good pitch.
Yeah, the thing about Harang, he spots the fastball in and out. He'll throw a lot of fastballs. A little tough to pick up at times. And he doesn't waste too much time. You've seen that. He gets it, throws it. Short arm and compact. Even though he's 6'7", he adds and subtracts pretty well off that fastball. Every once in a while, he'll use a big curveball to lefties.
It's amazing that you can use the word compact to a guy that's 6'7",
yeah.
260. Valdespin takes a strike. Harang isn't messing around right now.
He's 6'7", and his stride to the plate is probably half the stride of Tim Lincecum,
who's not 6 feet. Valdespin takes a breaking ball in the dirt. Donovan Solano starts in games 2 and 3, and Solano with a base hit last night, 5 total hits. But with the righty on the mound, Valdespin back in, followed by Giancarlo Stanton. Into left, it sends Justin Upton back, and he makes the catch. Aaron Harang likes to get ahead with a first pitch fastball, and Tommy Hutton, we've talked about it in this series and really over the last 2-3 weeks. Giancarlo Stanton has let a lot of first pitch fastballs get by him.
Yeah, I think that's a little area he falls into on the negative side when he's slumping somewhat. And in July, Stanton hitting just 185. And there's that first pitch fastball right there. Sometimes that's the best pitch for him to hit.
Sometimes that may be the best pitch he sees all night.
A lot of the plate.
Harang says, you know what? I'm coming right back at him.
Yeah, in 18 games in July, just a 185 average, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs for Stanton. And as you mentioned, Rich, giving the lineups, Stanton 2 for 12, Casey McGee 1 for 11 in this series.
Of course, we all should be as talented and as productive and be slumping as Stanton is with his 23 homers and 66 runs driven in. Let's keep it in perspective.
Absolutely.
He's having an all-star season, a terrific year, 23 doubles on the year as well. And he reaches out and pokes that fastball back to the screen.
Yeah, this is just a small sample size.
Came in with a fastball. 90 miles an hour for Harang. He's out of San Diego. Long ago, 1999 ago, he was a 6th-round pick of Texas. But as Tommy documented, a lot of teams between now and then, his biggest chunk of time was as a Cincinnati Red. It made up a lot of those 339 starts. Stanton cracks one into center field. And a solid single. That's a great sign for Stanton, because when things are going well and things get turned on, he hits balls just like this.
Tell you what, Aaron Harang very fortunate to just kind of skip that right foot out of the way and let that ball travel into center field, because it traveled rapidly. Let's see, it traveled above the speed limit, let's say that.
Exit speed off the bat, it came in about 90. Wow, 114. Here's McGee. Too far out, Marty Foster said. McGee, as you noted, 1 for 11, and for him that's a major drought. He's been so consistent this year. 57 runs driven in, 21 doubles, couple homers.
It's funny, Rich, you talked about Aaron Harang having been drafted in the 6th round by Texas. He never pitched in the big leagues with the Rangers. He's been around so long, he was involved in a trade going from Texas to Oakland for Randy Velarde.
That one hit the mound, and it's picked on a short out by La Stella, and that gets McGee at first. So Harang is through the first. The entertainer, Henderson Alvarez, coming in. Anderson Alvarez getting ready to take on the Atlanta Braves. Braves at 55-46. They're a game back of the Nationals in the East. Jam Lexus brings you their lineup. B.J. Upton, Tommy La Stella, Freddie Freeman, who had a 3-run homer last night. Justin Upton, look at the series that Jason Hayward is having. Evan Gattis back behind the plate. Chris Johnson at third. Ramiro Pena at short. And Aaron Harang slotted ninth. And the question mark for Henderson Alvarez, how is the shin? Because it really blew up on him after the ball in that Giants start. He came right out. He didn't throw another pitch. He didn't even try to throw. It was, let's get the heck out of here, because it hurt. It was swelling up. But he returns to take his turn in the rotation. His throwback windup will start tonight. And Alvarez actually throws a strike on that. It's the first in about 2 months to start a game that's a strike.
Yeah, given the fact that B.J. Upton swung at the first pitch last night for a base hit.
Takes a rip there at 94 miles an hour.
I think the good news, Rich, is that after that comebacker that got him on the shin, we saw the next day, we saw Henderson Alvarez playing catch in the outfield.
Alvarez gets a call on a fastball that looked like it might have been up and in, and Upton staring out at the mound, shaking his head right now. Let's take a look at it. Look where Saltalamacchia is set up. And give Marty Foster credit, because umpires oftentimes, if the catcher has to go from one side to the next, sometimes that call gets lost, but Foster stuck it because it was on the plate and under the letters. Alvarez with strike one.
And so far, Henderson has come out firing strikes.
Lots of fastballs to start this ball game. La Stella, a couple of hits. It's 2-1. The Braves last night, 6 runs on 8 hits. They haven't really been explosive in this series. Jones on the ground ball. Alvarez gets over. That's a good sign as well. Testing that leg.
And here's a look at the defense for the Marlins in this one tonight with Yelich, Ozuna, and Stanton in the outfield. Case McGee, Echeverria, Valdespin back at second base. Garrett Jones, the first baseman, Saltalamacchia behind the plate. Tell you what, it's always nice as a first baseman to know you have a pitcher who gets over there quickly and who's an excellent fielder. Nice 3-1 putout.
The curious case of Freddie Freeman and the Marlins in 2014 continues tonight. Freeman, just an awful year against the Fish. This is game 13 between the two teams. Until last night. Last night he took a Nathan Eovaldi slider and hit it out opposite field, which was quite a feat last night. Still on the season, just 3 for 47 against Miami. Against the rest of the league, he's well over 300. And count 2-1. Two balls, 2 strikes. A getaway night. Miami's headed to Houston. Astros and Marlins open a 3-game series tomorrow night. 2-2. Pulled foul. The Padres are coming in here. Well, what's left of them are coming in here. The Padres have made a number of deals.
It'll be a little bit of a homecoming for Jeff Francoeur.
That's a good call. Swing and a miss. Down goes Freeman. Alvarez strikes out Freddie Freeman. Alvarez looks sharp. We're just underway. Out of that an hour ago. Marlins baseball is better when you share it with your friends. And you can share your photos on Instagram, engage on Twitter or Facebook. Visit the On Cloud Conine blog. It's an offbeat look at the fish. Go to marlins.com/connect. Get a full roster of Marlin players on Twitter. Garrett Jones, Marcell Ozuna, Jared Saltalamacchia in the second against Aaron Harang. Jones cracks one to center field. B.J. Upton is back and just shy of the track. He makes a catch. Marcell Ozuna now, and a familiar face to Aaron Harang.
Well, he certainly has had some good luck against Harang this year. Ozuna with a home run to the opposite field in the Marlins bullpen at Marlins Park. Hey, why not hit another one? He hit another one, this time on a breaking ball. He pulled one into the Clevelander. So Ozuna 4 for 8 with a couple of home runs in his career against Aaron Harang.
Harang starts him cautiously outside, and it's 1-0. The home run that he hit into the Clevelander was the first splash home run, true splash home run, that went directly into the pool. Remember, there was a fan talking on his cell phone who jumped in, got the ball, and kept the cell phone dry. Freeman glides over, and he's got room and makes the catch. And Ozuna's at bat ends thusly.
They saw a couple of breaking balls from Harang in that at bat. He talked about Aaron Harang having spent a good part of the long career with Cincinnati. 06 and 07, he was a 16-game winner each of those years.
Now Saltalamacchia. Saltalamacchia hit in this series. It was a home run. It seems like a week ago, but it was game one on Monday.
That was the night the Marlins struck out 16 times but won the game.
Yeah, 3-1. It was a changeup from Julio Teheran. Harang misses down low. It's 3-1. Mike Redmond and the Fish trying to win this series.
Well, these two teams on the year have matched up pretty well. They've played 12 games and each has won 6.
And of course, in a 4-game series, if you're able to win that 4-game series, that's a big turn for you. Miami trying to do it on the road in a ballpark where they've had very little success. And Saltalamacchia swings and misses. Harang has a 1-2-3 seconds. In Atlanta, bottom of the second, Fish and Braves. A call to action for the fan photo. It's the AT fan photo. If you've got a fan photo or just any photo, an entertaining one, hashtag it FL fan photo and then tweet it. And you could be part of the show.
That would be a nice Braves fan photo.
Just
there.
Like that trio of kids. Very nice.
Great looking family. So the Marlins have finished 100 games. They're on their final 62, starting with this one tonight.
So since you play a lot of golf, they're well past the turn. And what about the 13th, 14th tee?
Yeah, on the back nine, yeah.
Miami a half game back behind the Mets. The Mets winners yesterday. Marlins a half game behind New York. The Phillies lost another game last night, but bounced back today behind Cole Hamels to beat the Giants 2-1. This is actually the first of the night games to start. There were 4 day games in baseball, and they are all done. 3 of those were in the American League. Brandon McCarthy and the Yankees beat Texas 4-2.
Yeah, nice outing by Hamels in that game. 8 innings, 10 strikeouts, gave up just 1 run.
Jonathan Papelbon was in a better mood today. He got his 24th save. Fastball line into right center. Stanton approaches. Outfield's still a little bit soggy. Balls have slowed down considerably once they're out there. So a base hit opens up this inning. America's new sports network, the place to turn for every slam, every goal, every game. America's pregame only on Fox Sports 1. Streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Tune into America's pregame weeknights at 6 Eastern only on Fox Sports 1. To find Fox Sports 1 on your cable and satellite provider, go to foxsports1.com. Or call the front desk at the hotel. And tell me what Fox Sports 1. Jason Hayward, 6 for 12 on the series. And his hits have been important hits. Hayward had a stolen base last night. He had a couple of RBI hits on Tuesday night. Chopper, Echeverria has to sit back on it, and Valdez being taken out on the slide by Upton. No chance really to get 2 on that. Hayward runs very well.
Yeah, on a ball hit the way that one was, and you're Valdez being the second baseman, you just have to make sure you get the throw. Good play by Echeverria to pick that high hop, but just make sure you get the throw and get out of the way. Good hard slide by Justin Upton, but no double play chance at all.
Evan Gattis now after a night off. Gattis coming off the disabled list with a bulging disc. That started the series. Smokes one into center. Ozuna dives. Did he get it? He got it. Ozuna with a catch. That might be one they look at. Certainly in the Braves replay room. But Ozuna got a good jump and came up with it.
Boy, this ball sinking and hit hard, but Ozuna there, and it looks like it is a catch. Great concentration. Good job by Marcell Ozuna to get a good jump on that ball. It was hit hard. He gets a little applause from his pitcher, from Henderson Alvarez. Nicely done all around.
And so Hayward with a dozen stolen bases still at first. And Chris Johnson up now. For Ozuna, a catch like that for a lot of center fielders, they don't think twice. But remember last year, Ozuna's season ended on a play just like that where he broke his hand.
Yeah, I think we talk about that every time. we see him make one of those diving catches.
Johnson gets into one, left field and deep. Yelich back at the wall and gone. 8th of the season.
Chris Johnson came into this series having hit 4 home runs in his previous 5 games. He's been a little quiet, but not quiet here. This is one of the areas where he's made the adjustment to bring his average up and to hit for a little power. You saw that fastball in the inner part of the plate. A lot of times he'll inside out that pitch and flare it into right field. But lately he's been opening up and getting to that pitch right there.
A great month of July. Ouch. Yeah. Good to see he's okay. Valdespin gets the big hop. Atlanta gets the big swing. Chris Johnson, a 2-run homer and a 2-0 lead. With an exclamation point, pumping one into the seats and left. Palmetto 57, Nissan, Palmetto 57, Volkswagen. Leaderboard, most days in first place. So the Tigers, the Brewers, and the Athletics all off to great starts and had a long run atop their divisions. Giants as well. Braves right now sit a game behind the Washington Nationals. Echeverria fouls it back. Nationals are off tonight.
That home run, Rich, makes it a little tougher for the Marlins because when the Braves hit a home run, they're 38-14. When they don't homer, they're 5 games under.
One and two. Echeverria, Alvarez, Yelich in the third. Harang looks like the Harang of starts 1 and 3 rather than start number 2. And Echeverria got a piece. It fouls it into the glove of Evan Gattis. Let's go down field level. Preston Wilson. Press.
Hey guys, how's it going?
You know, you might take a look at Evan Gattis's helmet and see a little unique color sticking out there that you don't normally see. It looked kind of green. What that is, it's a new technology that they're using in baseball called now unequal. Rob Vito developed this technology for the military. They use it for vests to help protect you in bullet wounds. But they saw a need for it when they saw a 16-year-old player in high school get hit in the chest, and he collapsed and later on died. And he figured that there could be a need for it in baseball. Now, what unequal is it's a composite form. It's got 3 layers. The first layer absorbs the shock. The second layer is Kevlar. The third layer is called impact shield, and that gives a blast shield effect, like you do with with the bomb suits. It gives that type of effect. About 150 NFL and MLB players are wearing it now as supplemental padding. They don't really know if it's the cure-all for concussions, because the concussions are really about the movement of the brain inside the skull when you do get the impact, but they do know that it definitely disperses the impact, and Evan Gattis says when he takes one off the mask, he doesn't feel that ringing in his head that he used to feel off the regular masks.
It's interesting, Preston. We earlier this year, as Yelich sends it into left, earlier this year we actually saw a mask like that whose grill on the front had a frame that absorbed the impact. That was a quick inning. That was a 7-pitch inning from Aaron Harang. Run that's standing up right now for Atlanta. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, it's interesting, the home run ball that so far to this point has hurt Henderson Alvarez. You go back a few years ago, his last year with Toronto, and Alvarez allowed 29 home runs. Last year, a little over 100 innings, he gave up just 2. And the one that Chris Johnson hit was only the 8th home run he's allowed this year. So generally, he's been able to keep the ball in the ballpark.
Harang opens the inning. B.J. Upton and Tommy La Stella to follow. Tomorrow, we noted the Padres are here. The Washington Nationals open up a series in Cincinnati. Tanner Roark and Alfredo Simon for the Reds. Alvarez finishes off Harang.
Tell you what, Tanner Roark has been a really nice surprise, a pleasant surprise for the Nationals.
At 9-6 and pitching to an ERA that's just under 3.
As has Simon for the Reds.
B.J. Upton fouls one at the plate. Upton called out on strikes back in the first. So first time through, Alvarez with 3 strikeouts. Henderson Alvarez not a guy with a lot of strikeouts. He is a pitch to contact, early action in the count guy. Liner to right, Stanton in on a hop. He'll pick it, and a base hit for B.J. Upton. For whatever reason, the Braves seem to win games with B.J. Upton in that leadoff spot. They're 16-8 since Freddie Gonzalez put him in the leadoff spot.
And, you know, he's, as we've talked about this entire series, his on-base percentage around 280. So certainly not the prototypical leadoff man. But he does have that ability to steal a base. B.J. Upton with 15 stolen bases this year.
To the point about Alvarez working quickly, he is second among National League starters in pitches per inning, trailing only Tim Hudson. Marlins just got a taste of Tim Hudson as a Giant, having seen him extensively as an Atlanta Brave.
Matter of fact, the Alvarez start was against Tim Hudson.
B.J. Upton is running, a swing and a miss. Saltalamacchia's throw is in time. He's out. Upton says no, replay. B.J. Upton telling Alan Porter that he was safe. Now, the funny thing about this is we've seen more times than not when a player says he was safe, he wasn't, though Upton may be safe in this case.
Yeah, he reacted quickly, but we'll see. Looked like that power change. Strong throw. Good throw by Saltalamacchia. And the key was the tag applied before his foot got to the bag.
This will probably be a better look. You know what? He was wrong.
Yeah, he caught him on the back foot. It's almost 90%. Every time a player says he's safe, it's like it's 90% he's wrong.
It is amazing. In fact, I would love to see the rule change to let the player be the one to ask for the challenge, because then all kinds of fun would ensue, right? You'd eliminate the manager from running out, you'd eliminate the replay guy back in the room, and it would make things a lot quicker, and it would put a little more pressure on the player to be right. Solano flips on over to first. 10-pitch inning for Alvarez. you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. 6 players have started at second base. Only Toronto has used more. All right, can you name all the Marlins that have started at second base? I'd start with Donovan Solano. Let's go Valdespin. We've seen him in this series.
Yeah, Valdespin, Solano, Lucas, Dietrich, Baker. Hard pressed for that 6th one.
Ball and a strike. Giancarlo Stanton. Casey McGee will follow.
Rafael Furcal.
Oh,
for crying out loud.
We hardly knew him.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was the plan for the ball club. And just 8 games. Furcal has started at second base.
Two. Little tapper. La Stella around it and not going to get him. Valdespin legs out an infield hit. And so the Marlins have their leadoff runner aboard here in the 4th.
Always good to get that man on base, the leadoff guy on, especially with Stanton coming up. Tough play for La Stella. He has to pick and throw. A little bit of hesitation. I think if it's scooped, he still beats it out, so it's an infield base hit for Valdespin.
Stanton now hit a bullet into center field for a single. And Harang misses outside. 114 miles an hour. A ball that zipped right past the mound and into center. Casey McGee will follow. Valdespin at first. And Harang, a much different approach to Stanton. He pounded him with fastballs in his first at bat. He got 2 quick strikes, then missed with breaking balls. Came back and saw one of his fastballs turned around. And Stanton had a mean rip at that one.
Well, Harang has been a godsend, as has Irvin Santana. Remember going back to early in the year, spring training, the Braves lost Brandon Beachy. They lost Chris Medlin to Tommy John surgery.
And of course, Harang wasn't even on Atlanta's radar when they opened spring training camp. And he replaced a popular guy in, was it Freddie Garcia? Late in camp. He began spring training with Cleveland and didn't sign with the Braves to the 24th.
Yeah, Harang goes against everything that a 6'7", 260-pounder should do. We talked about his compact delivery. Kind of short arms the ball. He's also pretty quick to the plate. He doesn't have that big leg kick, so he makes it difficult for runners to get good jumps.
Down low, and Giancarlo walks. And Miami has opened the 4th with runners first and second. Budweiser Balcony, perfect way for any group looking for a great experience at the ballpark. It features seating up to 33 guests, food and drink packages. Drinks for your group are on us when the Marlins hit a home run into the Budweiser Bowtie Bar on the balcony. Marlins.com/groups. I did not know that, Tommy. You get a free beer when a home run goes up there.
I did not know that either. That's good to know.
McGee, a high fly ball. Hayward has a good arm. He's around this one. Valdespin tags. And he won't chance it. And so McGee, a fly ball out. Harang has the first out of the fourth. And here comes Garrett Jones. First real rough patch we've seen for Casey McGee. Just 1 for 13 now in this series. And he's been frustrated the last couple of nights. You can see him shaking his head a bit, headed back to the dugout.
He got a pretty good pitch to hit there. He got a breaking ball that was out over the plate. He was trying to drive it that way. He just got under it a little. But I think this is a time, and we've talked about this a lot all year. It's a time when you have guys like Casey McGee cool off or Giancarlo, and you want to see the Garrett Joneses, the Marcell Ozunas pick things up. Now with Ozuna on deck, it's been a rough series for him. Ozuna's just 1 for 13 with 7 strikeouts in this series.
Long sequence with Gaddis and Harang. Jones steps out again. Woo! 0-2. Harang's on a nice run as well. His last 5 starts, 4-0, ERA in the low 2s.
Yeah, coming off a no decision, but a really good start against the Phillies. 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs.
It's amazing how the economics of this game go. The Braves supplementing their rotation after the 2 Tommy John surgeries with 2 free agent pitchers. Harang, a 1-year, $1 million contract. And Irvin Santana, a 1-year, was it $14 million? Just a bit of a difference. Tapper over towards the bag, and it brings Pena right to the bag. And a 6-3 double play. A promising start and a thud of an ending in the 4th. Palmetto 57 Nissan and Palmetto 57 Volkswagen, home of your money back guarantee. Turner Field, home of the Braves. Marlins and Braves in game 4 of a 4-game series. The sun set, just peeking through.
Anderson Alvarez gave up a 2-run home run to Chris Johnson, and that's all the offense in this ball game for either team. Freddie Freeman, Justin Upton, Jason Hayward. Freeman, an all-star here in 2014. His second all-star selection. He was the final vote winner last year. He did not play last year.
Went to high school out in Orange County, near Anaheim. We'll venture out that way this year, taking on the Angels.
Marlins out there in late August. Now the spin. It was on a hop. He didn't make the catch. And Freeman is out. On to Houston. And Marlins Live pregame starts the night at 7:30. Craig Minervini, Carl Pavano. Brad Hand tries to follow up a nifty start as he gets the ball to open up that series. It's presented by your South Florida Honda dealers. Been a while since the Marlins have been to Houston in the old National League days. The Astros continue to try to retool, rebuild.
Mike Redmond will have an extra bat in the lineup. Be interesting to see how he chooses to use the designated hitter.
That's the power change at 92.
Well, the good news, by the way, is that there has been no sign of any problem with that shin, having had to leave that last start after 2 2/3 innings. Saw that shot of Giancarlo. He got a little taste of DHing in the All-Star game. Stanton had 3 ABs as the DH for the National League.
It would be a chance to give Stanton or McGee sort of half a day off. Smacked pretty good in the gap. Yelich trying to cut it off. Justin Upton round first, and he's in with an easy double. 2 hits for Justin Upton. 3 hits for the Upton family tonight.
So the Braves have 4 hits and the Uptons have 3. Yeah, this ball was deep enough in the gap, even though it was cut off by Christian Yelich. Upton raced out of the box quickly and probably didn't have to slide. Could have had a stand-up double. I don't know if that shows up in the stats, though.
Hayward still playing with that cheek protector. McGee, all-out dive on his feet, gets the out. Nice play by Casey McGee at third base, robbing Hayward of a hit.
I always admire that when a guy has had some struggles offensively. We talked about Casey in this series. 0 for 2 tonight, 1 for 13 in the series, but not affecting his defense. He was alert, was on the balls of his feet. He was able to make that grab and then pop up and throw out Hayward.
Gaddis, who lined to center. Marcell Ozuna made a terrific sliding catch to rob him of a hit. Into the bat, Echeverria picks and whips and gets the out. Upton left at second after the double. 2-0 Atlanta. Brad Hand, Dallas Keuchel. 9-6, a 3.29 ERA for the lefty from Houston. And Brad Hand, Miami's lefty, coming off a nice start and a win. That's tomorrow night, 7:30 start for Marlins Live. Here tonight in Atlanta, the Budweiser balcony in right field in this ballpark is a popular spot. In fact, Tommy, if we could select a place to call a game from Atlanta, my vote would be right up there. Ozuna pops it up, Freeman over. It's in the seats.
Yeah, it's a little further away than the Budweiser balcony bar in Marlins Park. And it's in right center, of course, in Marlins Park, left center. Yeah, I don't think you'd want to, I know you wouldn't want to position yourself under the angry cow and do a game there.
I hadn't thought of that, but I think you're right. You don't want to be under a cow in any circumstance,
especially when he starts doing the chop.
Oh-2. Ozuna all over that hanging breaking ball. Harang shaking his head. It's 0-2 for Ozuna. He popped out to Freddie Freeman back in the second. Just don't look into his eyes, Tommy. Evil. Evil. One and two. I don't know that his eyes light up anymore. They used to when he really got chopping, it would turn red, almost as if he was possessed, a mad cow.
I think smoke pours out of his nostrils too.
2-2 is outside, and it's 3-2.
Well, to Ozuna's credit, Harang has gotten ahead, and he's tried to expand the strike zone, but Marcel's been able to be patient, stay away from it.
Another 3-2. Another breaking ball, and the at-bat continues. It really is a nice comeback for Harang, who last year pitched to an ERA in the mid-5s. It was the worst ERA he's had in his 13-year career. And Ozuna ends up walking.
Good job by Ozuna. Yeah, Harang's always been one of those nice middle of the rotation guys. Of course, 1 year, big year in 06, he led the National League in wins, led the National League in starts and strikeouts.
Saltalamacchia now struck out back in the second. Saltalamacchia, the start in last night's ball game, he walked twice. Echeverria and then Alvarez here the fifth. One swing of the bat, the difference in this ball game, and that was Chris Johnson pumping a home run into the seats and left in the second off of Henderson Alvarez, who doesn't give up a lot of home runs. Ooh. And that's what's made Harang so good this year, that pinpoint control.
No, that's what has allowed him to stay around the big leagues for so long.
Saltalamacchia in the left center field. That's a base hit. It's in the gap. Ozuna racing for third. Saltalamacchia headed for second, and he's in there with a double, and that's good to see. In this ballpark, remember, earlier in the year, Saltalamacchia found a bunch of hits in the left field, found a power stroke and a home run to left field.
There's that pitch just out over the plate. If Salty rolls over on it, tries to pull it, it might be a double play, but hit it well into that gap. He was able to get to second, and Ozuna at third, so second and third now, nobody out.
Infield is back, although Freeman now creeps in at first, and so does Johnson at third. And Harang all over that outside corner. It's 0-1.
And of course, the key at bats this one right here.
Yeah, because you got the pitcher on deck, and so you need Echeverria to make contact and do something. Try to score a runner and move a runner over.
That's ideally what you'd love to see Echeverria do. Ground ball to the right side. He gets one run in, and he moves Saltalamacchia to third.
And that's really been his approach all year, has been middle and right center. And Harang's two fastballs, one has hit the outside corner, one's been just out.
Yeah, we'll see if the 2-for-1 deal is available at this hour.
Got jammed and dumps it into right field for a hit. Ozuna scores. Saltalamacchia moves up. And Miami's on the board, and they cut the lead in half.
What a great job by Echeverria. He was still, even with 2 strikes, trying to stay inside and hit something that way. And how many times do I say when you try good things happen? So he tried that. Not only did he move the runner over to third, he got a run in, and he got himself a base hit. Really shortened up his hands nicely.
Well, you've got Alvarez here, who is a good bunter, and you got speed at first. You don't necessarily have that at third. Johnson's looking bunt at third. And Harang goes over to first. Now, we've seen it this year where a pitcher in this spot, some would assume, is just trying to move a runner from first to second, but a bunt that's good enough can also score the run from third.
I think with nobody out and the fact that you don't have speed at third, you just want to make sure Alvarez gets a bunt down and moves Echeverria to second. You don't want to take any chances at this point.
And give Yelich an opportunity to drive in 2 runs. Well, the count's 0-1. Freeman will be busting down the first base line. Johnson coming in for third. And Alvarez fouls it off.
Henderson Alvarez with 7 sacrifice bunts this year, but he also has 9 hits.
There's Echeverria. Alvarez squares again and fouls it off and fails to execute. And so Yelich will hit with runners at the corners.
I think he tried to be a little bit too fine that time, especially with 2 strikes, and tried to push it right up that line at first base.
Yelich struck out and flied to left. Bouncer, La Stella out there, and Yelich beats it, and the Marlins get a run. With Yelich's speed, he was down the line quickly. And remember, that's not Andrelton Simmons at short tonight. It's Ramiro Pena. And the game is tied 2-2.
That's a great point, and that's the first thing that popped into my mind. You look up there and you see Pena, who's playing to give Simmons a little bit of a breather, and more than likely this play is turned. But Christian Yelich, we see him get up the line quickly all the time, and Harang knew it right there that Yelich beat it out. It's a tie game.
And here's Valdespin. Harang is quick to the plate. Yelich has swiped a dozen bags this year. Valdespin golfs that one out towards center. BJ Upton is there and makes the catch. But Miami draws even halfway through, and it's 2-2. Legend in Atlanta, Hammerin' Hank. Started in Milwaukee, came to Atlanta, set the all-time home run record against Al Downing and the Dodgers on that memorable night, and it certainly made an impression on a youngster from South Carolina who wore the number 44 in the big leagues and is with us tonight down on the field. Preston Wilson, growing up, what did Henry Aaron mean to you?
He meant, first, he was a good person. He was a gentleman. He was a student of the game, and he was an ambassador of the game. He was somebody who the only things you heard were good things about him, how he was with his teammates, how he was in the community, how he was with his family, and definitely how he was on the field. And I never was able to attain the greatness that he had or have that type of talent, but I always wanted to play as hard as I could to represent that number 44 that I wore on my back because of him.
What did it mean at the time you saw him break the home run record?
You know, it was something that nobody thought would ever be done. And the way that he did it, never having a 50 home run season. I don't think he ever had a 40 home run season. And just year after year, just getting home runs and RBIs and base hits. And now it wasn't just power. He had a lot of base hits. He drove in a lot of runs. And early in his career, he actually ran very well, which people don't really remember. So he was everything as a player. And I tried to do those things. Didn't match the greatness, but I had fun just trying to reach that for him.
Here's a 3-1 pitch to Johnson, and he pulls it to McGee. Preston, everyone remembers Milo Hamilton's call of that home run, but Vin Scully, to me, had the better call. And in it, not only did he lay out for an entire minute, and I'm paraphrasing here, he had that quote that one of the most hallowed records of all of baseball is broken in the South by Henry Aaron. And the significance of that moment was so much larger than baseball. Did you feel that in South Carolina?
Oh, absolutely. I grew up in South Carolina, which is really about 4 hours away from here. And there was a lot of worry about what would happen or how the fans would receive it. And when he hit that home run and those two fans running on the field, Hank Aaron somehow knew that there was no bad intentions. They were there just to congratulate him and be with him. And he knew that, he felt that, and they congratulated on the field. And I think that made a big difference in some of the relations here in the South.
All right, now, that home run touched a lot of people. You visited with a gentleman today that has a big piece of Braves history and was there as well.
You know what? Walter, Mr. Walter Banks, is an unbelievable fixture here in Atlanta. He's been here for years. He is here before baseball actually came to Atlanta. He could tell you all kinds of stories. He has this unbelievable, uncanny talent with numbers. Last night he met my father. He wanted to meet my father. Came to the game, and he asked my dad, what year was he born in? He said 56, and he said 56, 56. There was only one pitcher who wore number 56 that pitched a perfect game in the World Series. It's Don Larson. And he did the same thing with my birthday on 19. He said 19, 19. The only pitcher to throw a no-hitter on opening day was number 19, Bob Feller. He's got something for every number you could think of, all types of combination. He remembers batting champions, the lineup from the first game here in Atlanta. He's an amazing, amazing man. He's 75 years old, just turned on July 1st. And people here love him. They bring him gifts, and they shower him with affection all the time.
Thank you, Preston. Terrific stuff. As Ramiro Pena lines one into left field. And we have our favorite usher, Tommy. He's not down in the seats, but he's in the press box elevator. Albert is here to greet us and has been for the longest of time.
I tell you what, if you've had a bad day, all you have to do is get in the elevator and listen to Albert chuckle and smile and welcome you to Turner Field, and all of a sudden your day turns around.
And it sounds like the Braves are going to do their best to take as many of the people that have worked here for such a long time with them to their new ballpark in 2017. Rank trying to bunt, drops it down. Alvarez, I thought for a second he was going to throw it. He was all wound up and ready to uncork one. So 2 outs in a 2-2 game in the bottom of the 5th in Atlanta tonight. Marlins.com is your one-stop shop. You want tickets, you want merchandise, news, Tommy Hutton's bio with a slick new photo. Well, the fastest and easiest way to do that and to get tickets is to log on to Marlins.com.
Watching some of those shots of Hank Aaron always reminds me, he had that one pose when he was in the on-deck circle. He was always down on one knee. He had the helmet off. And as he strolled to the plate, that's when he'd slip the helmet on and get ready to hit. And boy, was he ready to hit.
Is it Dusty Baker who was on deck when he hit that record?
I believe he was. There it is.
The other amazing thing about Aaron, you think he's larger than life until you meet him in person and you realize he was not a large man. But as Preston talked about, he came up as a kid hitting cross-handed. He held his hands in the left hand on top of the right hand and felt that may have built up those wrists and forearms. He was an immensely strong man.
They used to always talk about the speed, quickness, and strength of his wrists.
Pena, the runner at second. B.J. Upton takes outside. The count is run to 3-1. Chris Johnson's 2-run homer in the second. Miami getting 2 runs back in the 5th. Howard changeup at 90.
Yeah, I was thrilled just to looking back. The first 3 full years for myself were his last 3 years with the Braves. Then he went on for a couple of years with Milwaukee. So was able to see Henry Aaron up close. What a thrill.
Three-2 is down low, and here comes Listella. My first interview, I was not a broadcast major. I played college baseball and was able to get myself to single-A baseball. And my first game was broadcasting for the Spokane Indians. My first pregame interview was Henry Aaron. He was in Spokane. He was then representing Arby's, and he came into town, and there was a lot of press that wanted to see him, and I finally got the chance to sit down and do the pregame interview. And he looked at me and he said, "Don't you have anything for me to autograph?" Because all of the media members that wanted to talk to him just wanted him to sign balls and sign stuff. And I said, "No, I would like you to be on the pregame show." And he was extremely nice and gracious. He liked the fact that I asked him about his base stealing, because that was one of the things that he did quite well that nobody talked about, that people really didn't value when he was a player in the late 50s, 60s, and early 70s. .240 stolen bases, and by all accounts he probably could have swiped 400.
Yeah, he had a season high of 31, the most he'd ever stolen in any year. Just had some incredible solid years.
240 stolen bases, caught just 73 times.
Henry Aaron had that year in '73. His second to last year with the Braves. That was the year that the Braves had 3 players with 40 or more home runs. Aaron had 40. Darrell Evans had over 40, and Davey Johnson, second baseman, had 40.
Was the launching pad called the launching pad before that season?
If it wasn't called it before, it was certainly called it after. A lot of people forget here in Atlanta, I believe Atlanta is other than Denver, is the second highest altitude-wise ballpark in the National League. Anyway, Atlanta's about 1,000 feet.
Fulton County Stadium was out beyond left field of this ballpark as a slicing liner that's foul. And of course, they built this for the Olympics, but they had in mind obviously that they would convert it to a baseball stadium once the Olympics left in '96. Out there is a parking lot. They still have a wall out there. You can see the blue wall,
part of the outfield wall. A lot of knuckleballs in that area.
That's
a lot
right.
of home runs.
The Negros. Bouncer towards short. Echeverria, little flip, and Valdespin gets there just in time. 2-2 games of the sixth. Four hits. Braves have 5 hits. AT&T U-verse Rewind. Tool race is coming up Monday. The bucket. Oh, wow. Just taking the drill down and runs away with it. In the bucket on Tuesday, somebody got revenge. And the bucket, I think, went down a little harder than he would let on. So he goes right back after the drill, and it costs him. Revenge can be a costly thing, Tommy Hutton.
Yeah, but it can be so sweet, ever so sweet.
Giancarlo Stanton fouls one off. So the bucket race is coming up. Actually, the tool race. Not sure if we've mounted the camera inside the bucket yet, but that's coming. Just like NASCAR. Here's the 0-1. In fact, this race is as close of all the mascot races in baseball. This is as close to NASCAR as they get. I know the presidents have hijinks, but
they get a little out of hand once in a while.
Stanton shoots another one into center field. Leadoff hit. Stanton at 2 for 2, and as we noted, anytime he starts hitting the ball hard up the middle, he starts getting locked in.
Got a feeling. You just have that feeling, seeing the way he's swinging the bat tonight, that it could get exciting over the weekend at Minute Maid Park, up on the train tracks, over the Crawford boxes, up on that berm in straightaway center field, Towles Hill.
Those two guys, I believe, briefly were teammates on an area code team in Los Angeles, Freeman and Stanton. You know, one of those summer showcase type where they throw a bunch of guys together, run them out there for a weekend to play.
You know what? Those two guys are going to be in the National League All-Star game for a long time together.
McGee fouls it off, and it's 0-2. Casey bounced to second, flied to right. And Harang has had him muttering to himself. You can see his series, a very un-McGee-like 1 for 13. Breaking ball, ground ball, and that's going to be 2. And Casey McGee bounces into a double play, wipes out Stanton. And there are 2 outs here in the 6th. Here's Jones. Garrett Jones cracks one into right field for a hit. And he's aboard. Latest news, highlights, and analysis surrounding the Dolphins. Check out Phinsiders. 5 o'clock Fox Sports Florida. Live interviews, unique access, players, coaches, and more. It's a show you won't want to miss. Phinsiders, 5 o'clock Fox Sports Florida. Now Ozuna, who's popped out and walked. As we showed you earlier in the night, he's knocked a couple homers against Harang this year.
You know, people always say on that nice swing by Garrett Jones, it's too bad the Casey McGee hit into the double play. But you know what? If there was a man on, if there were a couple of men on, he may not have gotten the same pitch. And his approach, his thinking might be a little different. And certainly on that first pitch, he probably wouldn't have gotten the same pitch that he did.
Ozuna gets a fastball on 3-0. It's 3-1. And with the count full, Jones will be on the move from first. Games in the Midwest are all just rolling now. Padres, before they get here, taking on the Cubs tonight. 2-0 San Diego. Ozuna, a high pop. And Hayward is in and makes the catch. Couple hits, but no runs in that 6th. This in Atlanta. Oh, the drill. I think the bucket is running with a purpose tonight, Tommy.
Hey, the bucket has a memory. He remembers the last 3 races, what's happened.
And the hammer goes, and the brush goes down. And, the bucket stops.
Wait a minute.
Oh, wow. Anderson Alvarez. There was a breaking ball that misses.
And one of the greatest celebration dances that you're going to see.
It made. All right, here's the dance. It's the dirty bird. Was that Jamal Anderson that used to do it in these parts? That's terrific stuff. All right, back to the ball game. Freddie Freeman's at the plate. The count's 2-1. 2-2 game, bottom 6. Is that the Money Manziel look?
Yeah, the Money Manziel.
I mean, let's face it, though. I mean, whoever is racing in the bucket outfit has a decided advantage. In terms of costume, it's essentially just a small little bucket around it. Much easier than the hammer or the brush. Or the drill. But you know what, Tommy? He was born that way. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, he was born with that attitude as well.
Anderson Alvarez into the 6th. Justin Upton has a pair of hits, singled in the 2nd, doubled in the 4th.
What free and easy Anderson Alvarez has been. He's not thrown that big slow curveball tonight. Usually he features that a couple of times.
Upton's month of July. Chris Johnson has gotten hot in the month of July as well. Braves with an opportunity tonight with a win, draw within a half game of the Nationals. Liner to right, and Upton's got a 3-hit night. Justin Upton. Time now for the Geico quote of the game. We welcome the Gecko back. The Hall will welcome Bobby Cox. Chipper Jones on playing for Bobby Cox. You don't want to do anything wrong with Bobby as your manager because it would be like messing with your grandfather.
I'm sure Chipper and a lot of other former Braves will be on hand in Cooperstown.
Tomorrow, a big plane will be taken off from Hartsfield, headed to Cooperstown. Soft liner, Echeverria, quick throw, and safe. Wow. Etch almost doubled off Upton on the Hayward line drive.
Well, the ball was hit soft enough that it allowed Upton, the runner at first, to kind of sum things up and get back just in time. Very close. And a little two-step. The little two-step by Garrett Jones is the reason he was safe. Right there, by the time he does get his foot on the bag, his hand was there.
Yeah, Jones missed, and Mike Redmond's coming out, and this might be one that the Marlins are looking at. If his left foot catches the bag, he's out.
Hard to tell if it's on the bag. If it's on the bag, there he's out. But the little two-step, if it's not, by the time the right foot gets on the bag, Upton's hand is there.
Yeah, the left foot. And I think the Marlins are going to challenge it. And you know what? In the bottom of the sixth, the umpires take over the replay. The umpires can go to replay once the seventh inning hits. It's not a bad gamble. The two angles that we've seen, though, I don't see definitive evidence yet, but there are more angles to look at.
Yeah, you're right. Bottom of the sixth. It's a 2-2 tie. Close game. Joe West, the crew chief.
The ball definitely beat him to the bag. The question is, did Jones get that left foot on the bag?
They're showing a couple of views on the big screen, which is a giant big screen here at Turner Field. But I haven't seen anything definitive on either of those views either.
Well, this is going to be a pretty good look here.
Just watch the left foot. Oh, he's got it. Look at the angle of the foot. Yeah. He was on the corner. You could tell by the angle of his foot.
Because his foot doesn't come all the way down. It's sideways, and it's a weight-bearing foot at that point. And so he's not standing on the side of his foot. Is
that enough, though?
You know what? I think you can put one and one together and get two.
Haven't had many challenges lately when you think about it.
Is that definitive? No. Is it pretty darn close? Yes. So right now I think it's 50-50. But again, strategically, you might as well take a shot at it in the bottom of the sixth. And from the length of it,
it tells you that they don't have that perfect look.
It looks like they've got a decision. He's out.
All right.
And a nice job by the Marlins.
Good job.
There it is, Tommy. There's the definitive look. That's the look. And it came from the Braves truck. And so the double play ends the inning. On to the seventh. Miami keeps that challenge. Started the night And about 6 o'clock, sun setting, a few clouds around, making for a gorgeous sunset. And a pitcher comparison that's pretty much dead even.
That's pretty awesome.
Anderson Alvarez and Aaron Harang. Though they're doing it in different fashion. Harang's getting a lot of fly ball outs. Alvarez a lot of ground ball outs. Saltalamacchia rips one into the right field corner. Hayward picks it out of there. And the second double for Saltalamacchia. It's a leadoff double, and Miami's in business in the 7th. Well, a nice night for Saltalamacchia.
I think he likes to have a little success against the team that initially drafted him. And 2 really good swings tonight with the 2 doubles. One into left center. This one he gets a pitch he can pull and takes it into that right field corner.
Saltalamacchia now in his career against Harang is 6 for 10. Well, Echeverria is up in a spot with Saltalamacchia at second and nobody out. Pulls a ground ball. Johnson on to first.
Yeah, I was just about to say with some pitchers coming up, and in this case it's Henderson Alvarez, with some pitchers you would go ahead maybe try to drive in the run. But with Alvarez, who can do so much at the plate, I'm really surprised Echeverria, who did such a great job his last time up, taking the ball the other way. I'm surprised he jumped on that first pitch.
That being said, do you take it the next step now with Saltalamacchia at second and Yelich on deck and let Alvarez try to run into one and drive him in with a hit rather than bunt him?
Oh, I let Alvarez swing here. Absolutely.
All right. Alvarez without the batting gloves.
And they're thinking the same thing. That's why Harang threw a curveball the first pitch.
Well, he's seen 2 curveballs, and he's behind in the count 0-2. Alvarez pulls a ground ball. Johnson across the diamond. So it's Yelich. And Saltalamacchia is still at second.
Yeah, the Marlins have had this the second opportunity. Remember back in the 4th inning, they had runners at first and second. Nobody out. They weren't able to cash in a run. And leadoff double here by Saltalamacchia, and all of a sudden a couple quick outs. It's an area we haven't talked a whole lot about with Christian Yelich, who's been on a nice tear. He's upped his average now over 300 with runners in scoring position.
Yelich 0 for 3, but he drove in a run with the fielder's choice in the 5th. He's knocked in 3 in this series and a couple hits in each of the first 3 games. Atlanta's bullpen, Shea Simmons, Jason Shreve. Harang has been cautious with Yelich. Valdespin is on deck.
I think when it's all said and done, they'd rather pitch to Valdespin than Yelich.
I would.
It sure looks like it.
I would as well. as hot as Yelich has been from late June all the way through here. Came in with a strike. Three and two.
Well, he's painted a couple of pitches. Keep in mind, too, the advantage for Saltalamacchia, 2 outs. So he should be able to get a pretty good jump. Below average speed, got some pretty good arms in the outfield.
So Harang is trying to make the perfect pitch. Yelich is looking for something he can knock into the outfield. And a full count with 2 outs.
After painting outside a couple of times, that time he came inside. See, all that stuff away. He tried to cross up Christian Yelich, come in, and at least to Yelich's strength, he was able to foul it off and stay alive.
Got him on a breaking ball. And down goes Yelich. Good pitch by Harang. Saltalamacchia left out in scoring position. Atlanta 2-2 ball game. Time now for the AT fan photo. Blue ribbon panel hard at work tonight. Hashtag your photo. FL fan photo. Oh, look at that. Victoria. Now, is that the bucket or a bucket? I think that's not even a reasonable facsimile.
That's just bucket. A bucket.
Faux bucket.
Have to be careful saying that one. I'll let you tackle that one.
Anderson Alvarez, 81 pitches, arrives here in the 7th. Evan Gattis, Chris Johnson, Ramiro Pena for the Braves. And Alvarez throws a strike.
And if they get a man on, it'll be the pitcher's spot.
$11 ground ball out so far for Alvarez. Trade deadline coming up. Reports today that the Marlins have told clubs that Steve Cishek is not available. That on MLB.com. Seattle traded to get a bat back. Kendrys Morales had a big year last year in Seattle. Well, maybe not big, but a pretty good year. Drove in 80, hit 23 homers. Signed with the Twins. And Seattle got him back, trading for him. And they will put him in the lineup, hit him behind Robinson Cano.
It was kind of like Stephen Drew signing with the Red Sox. They signed late. They signed after a few months of the season.
He joins a long list of first base / DH types for Seattle, including Corey Hart, Justin Smoke, there's Jordan Walden, and Logan Morrison. None of which have really lit it up. Morales will probably DH for Seattle. McGee backs up, fires across in time. And there's one out here in the 7th. Next Corona Marlins watch party coming up on the 26th at Sports Grill in Miami Lakes. It's a Saturday night. Marlins and Astros at 7:10. All kinds of stuff going on. Energy team will teach you how to do flips. Billy the Marlin will teach you how to be cool. And you've got great wings and 5 for 15 buckets of Corona during the game. Go to Marlins.com. So 5 for 15 buckets of Corona. That means you, for $15, you get 5 beers in a bucket.
That sounds about right.
Or 15 beers for $5.
That's probably the other.
That really would be special. That would be a drink special.
That would be a good special at a frat party.
I think that's the whole idea of these watch parties. Alvarez went up and didn't miss by much. See Justin Upton right in the middle there, 3 for 3, but it was Johnson who hit a 2-run homer, provided the Braves with their 2 runs, and he swings and misses at a low fastball. And Alvarez has 2 outs here in the 7th. Good ball game tonight.
It's amazing you have 2 pitchers of 2 different styles somewhat, but very similar lines. All the ground ball outs you mentioned from Henderson Alvarez. Harang has spotted his fastball. He's gotten fly ball outs.
Now Pena takes down low. Tyler Pastornicki. But did your investigative reporting turn up on Dan Uggla in Fresno? Has he turned up for Fresno?
He has. He appeared last night.
Jones
was 1 for 4. I got to get that in quickly. Had an RBI.
Uggs was 1 for 4. As a Fresno Giant. 2-2.
Well, the Braves got on the board first. Home run off the bat of Chris Johnson, his 8th of the year, a 2-run shot. That gave the Braves an early 2-0 lead. The Marlins were able to scratch back, had a couple of opportunities, but in the 5th inning, a walk, a double. Salty was able to set things up men at 2nd and 3rd. Echeverria with nice hitting, picks up the RBI on that base hit. He's had a good series. And then on a ground ball, Christian Yelich is able to hustle up that line with his speed, beats the possible double play. And on that, the Marlins tied it up 2-2. Both pitchers have been outstanding. Now it's over to the Braves bullpen with Jordan Walden coming into work after the 7 strong innings of Aaron Harang.
And Walden is a logical choice for Freddie Gonzalez at this juncture. He pitched 2/3 of an inning last night. The 2 guys he faced, Giancarlo Stanton and Casey McGee, he struck him out. And he'll face both those guys here in the 8th with Jordani Valdespin leading off, Giancarlo Stanton and McGee right behind him. Valdespin fouls it back. And it's 0-1. Infield hit in the 4th for Valdespin. He's hit a couple of line drive outs.
Yeah, this game tonight, Rich, kind of going the way the season series has gone. 2-2 tie. Marlins are 6-6 against Atlanta.
Preston Wilson, this is a unique right-hander. Carter Capps of the Marlins, who's injured right now, has a similar delivery, but Walden really, at his size, just leaps at you.
Well, pitchers are always trying to add an inch or a few inches to their fastball, meaning the hitter has less time to react. When he releases the ball, his back foot is a good 5 to 6 inches off the rubber. He really jumps at the hitter and releases a lot closer. Now, there's an old pitcher that everybody knows that used to do something similar, Nolan Ryan. When he was in the windup, he would take that rock back stuff, but when he would replace his plant leg, a lot of times it would never be back on the rubber. It'd also be about 4 or 5 inches in front of the rubber. But when you're Nolan Ryan, nobody's going to say anything to you.
As the rule reads, once you start your delivery to the plate, you need to be on the rubber, but once you start your throwing motion, almost every pitcher's foot comes off a little bit.
It's kind of a fine line.
Yeah, but they usually set it right in front of the rubber. Some guys really try to push that issue.
And then some guys use the rubber to actually push off of toward the plate. But you can see how Walden kind of slides it. There's even a mark that he leaves on the mound because of that back toe.
Yeah, it's a really aggressive action towards the hitter, and he really gets out there. I mean, from my point of view, his back foot is probably a good 4 or 5 to 6 inches off the rubber as the ball's coming out of his hand.
So what does that do to a hitter watching from the plate when it comes out of his hand?
Well, it's kind of a delayed reaction, kind of, because you expect the ball to come out a little quicker, but he kind of holds it a little bit until he hits the ground, and that really kind of catapults the ball to the hitter. And secondly, when it comes out of his hand, it's closer to you, so you have less reaction time from the time the ball leaves the pitcher's fingertips till it gets in the hitting zone.
Bouncer out towards second. And the Stella flips on over to first.
Now, the bottom line, too, and Preston can attest to this as a hitter, all of that said that we've been talking about, you can't worry about that. You have to watch the release point, see where he's throwing the ball from, and not watch his foot.
Last thing from you, Preston, Giancarlo Stanton has hit it hard twice and walked. Both balls hit up the middle. What have you seen tonight?
He looks a little bit slower with his bottom half. He gets in trouble when he's not on time rhythmically.
Freddie Freeman captures that one and steps on the bag.
What I mean by that is he has to have his front foot down in time to recognize what he's hitting. And when he doesn't, it looks like his swing is rushed, and you see him take that swing where the hand looks like it's coming off the bat, and he's missing that slider down and away. The balls that he hit up the middle today, if you notice, he had both hands on the bat through the swing. That means his whole body is working together. When you see that one-handed swing away from him, something's out of sync, the timing's off, and he's a little off rhythm.
All right, Preston, thanks. Here's Casey McGee, who was 0 for 3. Walden struck him out last night and misses here. Aaron Harang's night. concludes 7 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, 102 pitches. Alvarez in the dugout at 93 pitches. And McGee had a good one to hit there. He just missed it. Miami's bullpen, Morris and Dunn. Season-long 0 for 11. You know you've had a good year when that's your season-long 0 for.
And you've already played 100 games. That's kind of solid, steady year Casey McGee's had. Second in the league in hits, only Hunter Pence with more.
McGee into center field, and it hangs up. B.J. Upton runs it down and makes the catch. 1, 2, 3, 8 for the Fish. Braves. It's the bottom of the 8th. All the Marlins with MLB.com's At Bat. If you don't have At Bat, you need to get it. I mean, all the handheld devices, over 400 of them. iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry 10, Windows Phone 8, score, stats, highlights, live audio. You can text At Bat to 31826 or visit Marlins.com for details. Henderson Alvarez. I mean, if you had MLB At Bat, you would be able to watch Henderson Alvarez slide out the little box score that has his line tonight.
See the pitch count.
Get the breakdown on the types of pitches he's throwing, the velocity he's got.
Another ground ball out.
Off the bat of Pasternicki. Echeverria double clutched and then really cut loose with a hard throw, and Jones had to turn into a left-handed catcher.
Well, he aired it out a little more because he double clutched, and he knew it would be a little closer. He got kind of a funny little hop. He had trouble getting the grip, but it's amazing how he can throw a ball so hard from that position, still get a lot on it. He got it over there in time.
Top of the order, B.J. Upton. Alvarez has been terrific. The Braves have 6 hits, 2 runs. Miami 7 hits, 2 runs, and those coming off of Aaron Harang.
The only ball, Rich, that the Braves have hit for an out into the outfield was that line drive, that nice play that Marcell Ozuna made back in the 2nd inning.
And that off the bat of Evan Gattis. Mike Dunn throwing in Miami's pen. You think Dunn is up for La Stella or Freeman or possibly both?
I don't know if he's able to get Upton right here. I don't know why you'd bring in Dunn to pitch to La Stella.
If Upton were to double, might be a different story.
Different story. And if all of a sudden there's a man or two on and it gets to Freeman, different story.
.3-1 is in the air. Shallow center. Valdespin is out. Ozuna in control makes the catch. So 2 outs here in the 8th.
It's been such a great job tonight by Henderson Alvarez. 100 pitches. There are the splits, all the strikes, all the ground balls. You'd love for him to finish this inning and give him an opportunity to win a game.
Jones, Ozuna, Saltalamacchia due up for Miami in the 9th. La Stella rolls it out. Valdespin collects, gets the out. 1, 2, 3. 8-pitch inning. 7 in a row retired. In the dugout, and when he arrived, the skipper and the rest of his teammates, pitching coach Chuck Hernandez. Alvarez, terrific night here, giving up the early home run, the 2nd inning home run to Chris Johnson, and that was it. Little thank you to his shortstop, Echeverria, who played well behind him.
Boy, you love to play in the infield behind Henderson Alvarez. You're going to get a lot of action. It's going to be fast. You're not going to have to wait too long. But just a terrific job by Henderson Alvarez tonight. Love to see his ball club right here getting a run or two. But you know what? It doesn't get easy. And it's not any easier because the Braves bring in Craig Kimbrell in this tie game here to start the 9th inning.
13 ground ball outs for Alvarez. And here is Kimbrell. And for all of you, and we've had many emails about it, asking about the spot on his cap. It's rosin. He's a big rosin bag guy. He'll go to his mouth, and then he wipes on his hat. And believe me, if the teams around baseball felt it was pine tar, he would have been inspected and dissected.
Yeah, with the success he's had, with the amount of games that he's in.
Jones takes a strike. It's 1-1. A late call by Marty Foster. Well, Kimbrel certainly didn't look sharp to begin this series. And that was on Monday night when he came in and loaded the bases on a pair of walks and a hit. Garrett Jones had the hit. And then Kimbrel morphed back into himself when he struck out Saltalamacchia, Echeverria, and then Solano lined out to end the inning. That was the 9th inning on Monday. Miami would push across 2 runs in the 10th. Jones would have the 2-run single against Shea Simmons. Upcoming broadcast schedule. It's brought to you by Lexus of Pembroke Pines. Tomorrow 7:30 start. Marlins live 6:30 Saturday, 1:30 Sunday, Monday and Tuesday. The Nationals are in Miami. Tuesday, of course, is our Fox Sports Florida Fantasy Auction, brought to you by Bana Sugar. Kimbrel bounces one up there. Ozuna up right now. Calling a strike. Kimbrel's numbers, and he still has a relatively young career, are just stunning. He's the all-time, as far as the Braves go, the all-time saves leader. He passed John Smoltz. He's 15 past Smoltz. All-time percentage leader in baseball history. He is 3rd behind Eric Gagne, Smoltz, and then Kimbrel.
Probably a guy that was maybe overlooked by quite a few. He was picked in the 3rd round. Craig Kimbrel, 5'11".
Just goes to show you that body type is, in this game, so often people look for the big, strong pitchers. I mean, Aaron Harang at 6'7", 260 throws, what, 90? Kimbrel at 5'11" throws 100.
Talk about his career. He's still, and he's only 26 at this point.
It's 2-2 to Ozuna. Saltalamacchia on deck. Kimbrel in the high 90s. 2-2. Ozuna fights off a fastball.
Well, he's been fighting off some really live fastballs from Kimbrel.
And so you wonder, when does Kimbrel bust out the hook?
Remember the other night when he came into a tie game, he had a little trouble with the slider. He had a little trouble with his breaking ball.
Swing and a miss. Ball bounces away. Gaddis gathers, turns, throws, and won't get him. And Ozuna is aboard. Good hustle by Marcell Ozuna. Some guys linger at the plate. Ozuna busted it right away.
Yeah, it's a hard decision for a hitter because obviously you're upset because you struck out. But I think in this case, Ozuna was able to see where the ball went. Saw out of the corner of his eye. And got a good jump out of the box. Yeah, the other night, Kimbrel put himself in a bases-loaded situation. Walked 2, gave up a single, but then worked out of that, getting a couple of strikeouts and that line drive out that Solano hit.
Ozuna has stolen 3 bases this year. He's been safe so far all 3 times. Hasn't been thrown out.
Certainly not what Salty was expecting on that first pitch.
Remember, Saltalamacchia's home run in this series came on a changeup. He's seen 2 breaking balls.
Trust me, he's not going to see any changeups from Kimbrel.
No. Are you surprised he's seen 2 breaking balls?
No, I think they've seen the way he swung the bat tonight on some fastballs. And Kimbrel's breaking ball looks better already than it did the other night.
Ninth inning, 2-2. Doubled the left center, doubled down the right field line. Another breaking ball. Joe West says it's a swing.
Yeah, that's just a hard one to stay off of.
All the way to the screen, and Ozuna moves up. And right now, he's got a better feel for the breaking ball than he does the fastball.
Yeah, he aired it out 98 miles an hour. That's a wild pitch from Kimbrel.
He's wild pitching Ozuna right around the bases. Saltalamacchia to center field. Ozuna round third. Up with the ball, B.J. Upton. Throw home. He is in there. Safe. Another breaking ball. And it speeds up Saltalamacchia's bat, and he drills it into center field.
Each time he threw that breaking ball, he tried to bury it down and in, because that's a tough one to hit. This one, he stayed with the breaking pitch because you're right. I think he had a better feel for it. But look where it is. It's out over the plate, and it's about belt high. Saltalamacchia with a nice night. His third base hit. A little bit of hesitation on the part of Ozuna, but he was still able to come in and score.
Well, terrific at bat by Saltalamacchia. And he's had an enormous night. A pair of doubles and an RBI single. Echeverria swings and misses. And the count's 0-1. So Saltalamacchia has had an impactful series. The home run earlier in the series, 3 hits and a go-ahead RBI. Echeverria, and La Stella cuts it off and flips to first in time. And so it's Saltalamacchia at third. Mike Redmond's going to bring Donovan Solano up for the at-bat. Steve Cishek getting ready for the bottom of the ninth.
You know, we talked about it the other night. Small sample size, but Donovan Solano 2 for 4 in his career against Kimbrel. He was 2 for 3 before he came in the game the other night and lined out to second base.
Yeah, he had a very good at bat. And so the Marlins here, a run in the 9th. And it comes against Kimbrel,
who doesn't give up many. And it also is Henderson Alvarez's game to win.
Big insurance run is 90 feet away. The 1-1. No swing. Checkers brings you Marlins Live post game. Craig Minervini, Carl Pavano, another gem by Alvarez. Marlins have some big defensive plays tonight. Braves will have, however, Freeman, Justin Upton, and Jason Hayward in the 9th. Solano lifts it in the air to right. Hayward over there makes the catch. Well, the wild pitch on the strikeout turns into a big play. Jared Saltalamacchia makes him pay. Here comes Steve Cishek. 3-2 Miami to the bottom of the 9th. In his old town, drafted by the Braves, wasn't a Brave for long before they sent him to Texas. And here tonight, 2 doubles and an RBI single in the top of the 9th that gives Steve Cishek a chance to save it for Henderson Alvarez. But for Cishek, who comes in having saved 23 of 26, he's right into the teeth of the Braves lineup. He enters right at Freeman, and then Justin Upton, who's 3 for 3, and then Jason Hayward, who's one of the hotter Braves in their lineup.
Now remember, he had 3 opportunities in a row, so he was able to get a little bit of a breather last night. You're talking about Saltalamacchia, 47 games as a Brave back in 2007 for Jared Saltalamacchia.
As you pointed out, when a guy like Casey McGee gets cold, Stanton has been slumping a bit. You need somebody else to step up. And certainly Saltalamacchia has done that tonight. Now the task at hand. Freeman, who homered last night, is 0 for 3 in this one. Cishek, who on Monday night picked up save number 22, and Tuesday night got number 23.
Now here are the matchup numbers. Freddie Freeman 1 for 10 against Steve Cishek. So these are guys who have faced him in the past.
We said it at the outset of the telecast, there's no mystery between the Marlins and the Braves. This is game number 13. They play each other 19 times a year. It's the 4th game of a 4-game series. Toyota trend. After different starts, look where the Marlins and the Braves are. We'll go back to that.
This is a really interesting trend.
Braves got out of the chute 17-7. Marlins were 11-14. Joe West.
Yeah,
swing.
You're talking about the Braves having seen everybody. Cishek with 2 saves already in this series.
Marlins have seen a ton of Kimbrel this year. One-two. Backdoor breaking ball, fly ball left field. Yelich over, makes the catch. Remember, Freeman hit an opposite field home run, 3-run shot against Nathan Eovaldi last night. So Freeman down. Now the guy that has swung it the best for the Braves tonight, Justin Upton, who was 3 for 3 with a double.
He's had a little bit of history against Steve Cishek. Justin Upton 0 for 3.
Six hits in this series, including a home run.
A couple of interesting, rich relievers in Kimbrel and Cishek, the way they both lean in to get the side.
Little slider. Didn't break much, but it caught the corner. It's 1-1. Cishek doesn't quite have the glare or that Silver Surfer right hand out that Kimbrel does. Really a classic pose from Kimbrel. It's interesting listening to Craig Minervini's 9 questions with Cishek on Marlins Live last night. Cishek talking about going to Carson Newman. They were the only program that would give him a scholarship. He just wanted to pitch in college. He had the funky delivery, and as he got a little older, a little stronger, a little bigger, all of a sudden the velocity picked up. The break on the slider continued. It's been a terrific story. He's 2-2 on Justin Upton. Oof.
And because of all that you described, Cishek, a 5th-round draft pick by the Marlins. 2007, just missed.
It's a good take by Justin Upton, just below the knees. Full count. To right, Stanton. 2 outs. And now Jason Hayward stands between Steve Cishek and a save. Henderson Alvarez and the win.
They've hit more fly ball outs in this inning off Cishek than they did the entire 8 innings off Henderson Alvarez.
Hayward lined into a double play back in the 6th. Cishek goes right after him with strike 1.
That's nice because so many times, and he has a good slider tonight, so many times we'll see him start that left-hander with that first pitch backdoor slider for strike 1. Saw Hayward, a couple of hits, 1 a home run in his career against Cishek.
Remember Hayward last year hitting the cheek, fractured his jaw. That attachment to his helmet, he's had it on since. He had a terrific September closing in that leadoff spot. Breaking ball strike. Pitch 3 and pitch 1, same spot. One and two. And he just got a piece of it. Braves have tinkered with that leadoff spot this year with Hayward. As we noted, B.J. Upton, Freddie Gonzalez and the Braves 16 and 8 since moving B.J. Upton into that leadoff spot. He was in there tonight. 1 and 2. You see Sheck overthrowing.
It's funny how we've seen his fastball 92, and he tried to overthrow, and it was 91. Sometimes you try to overthrow, the arm drags a little bit, you just don't get the same velocity.
Now the 2-2. In the air to right, Stanton coming in. He is there. Ball game. Miami wins it and wins the series. A 4-game series. The Fish take 3 of 4 from the Atlanta Braves, who were a first-place team when Miami arrived. And tonight, in 2 hours and 33 minutes, the Marlins dispatch the Braves, and they do it with a big night from Jared Saltalamacchia. A pair of doubles, an RBI single in the ninth. Big night for Salty, the former Brave. Steve Cishek saves all 3 of the wins here in Atlanta. 3-2 the final.